This will be a complete story of how I would have wrote Avengers EndGame, or now what I like to call The Last Avengers. And some of the ideas I will present will be straight from the comics, so without further ado, I present to you The Last Avengers. We begin where Infinity War ended. Thanos finally resting and watching the sun rise on a grateful universe. We go through bits and pieces of Thanos' everyday life as a farmer. Him growing his own food and overall being happy and content about himself. So it seems. But as one day goes to two, and 2 days go to too many, we see that Thanos has still been communicating with Gamora through the Soul Stone. Every day he visits her in the Soul Realm, trying to win back her love, trust, and attention, but to no avail. Gamora never pays him any mind. She can hardly ever look him in the face anymore, and this deeply hurts Thanos, as we can see it dwelling upon his face. Thanos says to Gamora, "When she comes tomorrow, I'll ask for both of us." Now what does this mean? What did Thanos mean by that? This is a latent mystery that will soon affect the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. The movie now cuts to Tony and Nebula on the ship in the middle of space, just like in the original. Tony has been having night terrors that day by day get worse every time. A sense of pure despair is wreaked upon Tony's face, as he cannot imagine that Pepper survived. As Nebula watches from a distance, Tony passes out, and what he begins to see is none other than Yasan. Yasan tells Tony what he told him in Iron Man 1. Is this the last act of the great Tony Stark? Or are you gonna do something about it? Tony wakes up drenched in sweat and begins to work. We get a montage reminiscent of the first Iron Man movie of Tony building a less condensed version of his Star Boost suit, a suit designed for off-Earth missions. It took everything he could latch on, even parts of the ship, but he is finally able to bring power into the new suit, capable of fitting 2 people. It now cuts to how things are back on Earth. It is revealed that 20 days have now passed since Thanos snapped. And since then, wars have been threatened, food sources have been condensed, and the morality of what is right and wrong in the world has quickly changed. And to make things worse, all the chains of command were a part of the ones who were vanished. Because of this, Captain America has assumed the president position. While some people agree with Steve Rogers being president, others do not. And the morality of the world is soon tested when Captain America is given a speech at the White House, which some people will call the new Avengers campus, because seemingly so, all remaining heroes have now vacationed in. While Steve Rogers is giving a speech on how now is a time that we don't strain ourselves apart, but to stick together, he gets shot in the head by a sniper rifle and collapses on the ground. No sign of life present. Riots engaged. While our remaining heroes are in shock, Banner begins to yell a mighty Hulk roar. Natasha is too afraid to look at Steve's lifeless body. She breaks down in tears. Hawkeye shouts, "Why?" as Thor drops to his knees in utter disbelief. We now cut back to Thanos' home as he prepares what looks to be some sort of a ritual. The Infinity Gauntlet laid out in the dirt in front of Thanos. Thanos is waiting for someone, but who? Thanos begins to get concerned as we now begin a flashback into Thanos' earlier life. The flashback begins where he tells his home planet of the potential disasters that overpopulation can create. And as we all know, Thanos' theory was correct. When his home world's population met its entire demise. Young Thanos is sitting alone when he's met by a mysterious figure known as Death. Death begins to converse with Thanos and comfort him. Thanos soon falls deeply in love with Death herself, and Death tells Thanos that if he truly loves her, he will do what needs to be done. Then they can finally be together. The flashback ends with Death and Thanos looking across a sunset, and we now enter back into real time. The gauntlet is still laying on the dirt and it begins to rain. Thanos whispers, "Where are you?" Thanos decides to pick up the gauntlet to see what's going on. He begins to use all 6 stones simultaneously and begins to see something that disturbs him. All we can see is Thanos' face get more and more intense, now fading back into the mad titan of his old self. He says, with a disgusted tone, "The Avengers." We're now back at the scene of the crime. Captain America's body has been moved and funeral arrangements have already been discussed. Our heroes have a heated argument about how could they let such a pivotal security breach happen. Rocket Raccoon interrupts the conversation when he says he sees someone falling from the sky. All of our heroes run outside as Tony and Nebula take a hard landing into the ground. The suit rips open and they both get taken into headquarters where first aid is applied. With a shock of relief, our heroes gasp as if to say finally something good has happened. The first words Tony says is, "I lost the kid." And then without a split moment notice, did Pepper survive? Pepper rushes in the room that they have Tony in. She was allowed to stay with everyone under Steve Rogers' commands, stating that Tony would have wanted her safe at all times. Pepper runs to Tony and hugs him. As our heroes fill in Stark and Nebula about all of the events that have taken place, Stark says that they could have made it sooner, but landed at the old Avengers headquarters and soon found out through media outlets what had transpired. Stark then asks where is War Machine, and it is explained that War Machine never gave up hope, and he went on a solo mission in order to recover you. He should have been back weeks ago. Tony then gets up stating that they have to go save him. Later on that night, as our heroes are preparing a rescue mission, they see a bright light coming from the sky. It's Captain Marvel, carrying War Machine's ship. And that's not all. Ant-Man is on board with them. War Machine tells everyone that as he was leaving to go save Stark, he saw Ant-Man working his way up onto the new Avengers campus. And Ant-Man decided to tag along with him to go save Iron Man. With engine failures, it was clear that all hope seemed to be lost until Captain Marvel saved them. Ant-Man rushes to Bruce Banner and Stark to talk about what their experiences are in quantum physics, and how he believes that there could be a way to reverse all of this. He explains to our heroes that 5 years ago he got stuck in the quantum realm, but for him, it has only been for 5 minutes. An entire plan is thought out, and soon after weeks and weeks of preparation, they are ready to time travel. Everyone has on their suits, and Bruce Banner is putting on the finishing touches. There's finally a new sense of hope. This could work. But then, out of thin air, Thanos appears. He doesn't say a word. Banner says, "No, we need more time." And that's exactly what Thor tries to give him as he rushes towards the Mad Titan. But there's something different about Thanos. He hasn't come here as a peaceful man, but a man on a murder mission. He takes Thor's head and crushes it. Valkyrie shouts, "No!" And she rushes Thanos as well, but she gets pummeled as Thanos smashes her body repeatedly against the ground. Hawkeye goes into action as he tells Natasha to stay here, but Thanos easily rips Hawkeye in half. Bruce then shouts, "You guys know the plan. I believe in you." Then Bruce Banner hulks out just to give the remaining Avengers a couple more seconds. And Thanos gets into a fire position and punches through Hulk's chest, killing him instantly. Thanos then sprints like an offensive lineman, ready to take out our remaining heroes. Iron Man, War Machine, Rocket Raccoon, Black Widow, Ant-Man, and Nebula all close their eyes, and others put their hands up in front of their face to prepare for the potential impact that Thanos is going to cause them. With 1 second to spare, Thanos just misses them and runs through a wall. He didn't reach them in time. Our remaining heroes were able to time travel successfully. And Thanos just looks around the room and lets out a mean, sinister, like chuckle as he sees the bloodbath they have left behind. The remaining Avengers arrive at their time travel destination. The time they picked takes place months before the first Iron Man movie. They chose this time so that they can collect the stones with little to no interferences. When they arrive, our heroes have their head down. War Machine then says out loud, "He killed them. He really just killed them," without any hesitation. Nebula then speaks, "My father is determined to make sure we don't undo what he has already done." While doubt creeps the minds of our heroes, Tony says no, he won't win, whatever it takes. Black Widow picks her head up and says, "Whatever it takes." Soon after, all of our heroes put their hands together. Tony then says, "Avenge the fallen." Tony is more motivated than ever, because a day before they left, Pepper told him that they are expecting. Tony is going to be a father. They spent time picking out names since they found out the gender, and they chose the name Morgan Stark. Pepper was hidden safely at one of Tony's special underground bunkers. Captain Marvel didn't come with the Avengers on their time trip either because, as she says, there's a lot of other planets Thanos has affected, and I need to be there for them. As our heroes spend time collecting the stones, they eventually run into a problem with obtaining the Soul Stone, as it requires a sacrifice. War Machine then tells Tony how he has been by his side forever, and getting this stone is the only way that they can have a chance at defeating Thanos. War Machine then sacrifices himself. Tony yells, "Rhodey!" trying to save him, but he was too late. The Soul Stone is presented to Iron Man, and now he has all 6 stones ready to confront Thanos. As our heroes prepare to make their final confrontation with the Mad Titan himself, Tony says that they have one more stop they need to make before they're ready. We cut to how things are going with present day Earth. It is shown that Thanos is sitting outside in the dark, waiting for our heroes to return. And that they do. Each of them walk outside with Iron Man being the man in the front, wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos then says, "I thought by eliminating half of the universe that the other half would thrive. I was wrong. As long as there are people who knows what was, there can never be people who knows what can be. So thank you, Avengers, for delivering me more stones that I will use to now wipe out the entire population of the universe and become God of a new world." As Thanos finishes his speech, there looks to be someone making their way to the front. I didn't want to believe it when they told me, but after hearing you speak, it's worse than I thought. And there's only one God, and he sure as hell is not you. This person is none other than Steve Rogers, Captain America. The last stop the Avengers made was to pick up some extra help. 4 more Avengers then walk outside. Hawkeye, Thor, Valkyrie, and Hulk. Thanos then looks at Hulk's arm and sees the wear and tear on it. Hulk has already snapped his fingers while they were in the Avengers campus waiting to go outside. Captain America then hears a voice come through the mic of his suit. Steve, it's Sam. Do you hear me? On your left. Portals then open of all of the heroes that were vanished by the snap. But Thanos does not budge. And all at once, all of our heroes go at Thanos with everything that they got. Captain Marvel even arrives. And Wanda, still saddened about the death of Vision, tries to finish off Thanos, but Thanos gets the best of her. Captain America then faces the Mad Titan head on, with Thanos and Steve Rogers exchanging blows. Thor lets out a mighty thunderbolt that strikes Thanos. Thanos then has enough of it, because he is only an army of one. So he decides it's time, and he snaps his fingers once more. As he does this, everyone on the battlefield starts disappearing, but Iron Man snaps too and brings them back. Tony is only human, and his body can't put up for this much longer. Thanos snaps again, saying, "Your will isn't stronger than mine, Stark." Tony then starts thinking about everything. About his dad, about his mother. About how he made it out of that cave all of those years ago. He never would have thought we will be where we are today. An entire family of superheroes. Tony then thinks about Pepper. And as Tony closes his eyes for one final time, he says, "For Morgan." Tony snaps his finger once again, and this time it was too much for Thanos to overcome. A big white light appears over the world. Something is happening, but what? A mysterious figure comes down to the battlefield. It is Death herself. Thanos is memorized by her. Death takes Thanos' hand and they disappear together. Thanos is no more. Iron Man is laying on the ground lifelessly, and Spider-Man comes to him saying, "You did it! You did it, Mr. Stark!" Pepper then tells Tony, "It's okay. You can rest now." In the following weeks after, it is revealed that when Tony snapped his fingers for the final time, his and Thanos' will were so matched that they broke through the multiverse. Mutants now exist in this universe. A funeral was held for Iron Man and Captain America. Steve Rogers is tended in disguise because he did not want people to know he has returned. Thousands of people attended the funeral, including some of the New Mutants. Thor, Hawkeye, Valkyrie, and Bruce Banner all decide to stay in this present-day universe. But Steve Rogers says that he can't leave his multiverse behind, and that he must return. And with Steve now taking ownership of the Infinity Gauntlet, it will be impossible for Thanos to obtain it in his world. Falcon then tells Steve, "How are we supposed to live in a world without Captain America?" Steve then says, "When you need me, I'll be there." Steve then points to Falcon's heart. He and Bucky both give one last nod to each other, and Captain America disappears. The whole world has changed. With the existence of mutants now having to readjust to a new universe, the only question now is, what happens next? Thank you so much, guys, for watching and finishing the story with me. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I love you guys, and peace.